My name is Laura Murray. I'm a core skills lecturer at West Lothian College for the Construction Motor Vehicle Department. I'm the department STEM champion and the chair of the Carbon Reduction Subcommittee. So the main project I was involved in last year was a 2-week work placement and college exchange with students from West Lothian College from Motor Vehicle Department and motor vehicle students from Lars KAG in Kalmar, Sweden. So for 2 weeks their students came here, took part in some of our classes and did work placements in garages around West Lothian. A few months later we had 8 of our students attend Lars KAG for a week, and then they spent a week in garages in Kalmar. It was very successful. The criteria for our students were students who were students that were doing well in class, who attended well, and students that came from areas and postcodes where they were a little bit more deprived. They maybe didn't have a passport and had never been abroad before. I found this was really, really successful, and a lot of our students who had never left West Lothian are now talking about returning to Sweden and working abroad as well potentially, which is something that would never have happened before the trip. The college have definitely benefited from this project because the students who went on the trip stayed for so we're now a full academic year later. All of the students were here till the end and got all of their qualifications, and the youngest student will be returning next year as well and is actually one of our best students. He was a good student before, but he definitely stands out now. It's also been motivation for other students who didn't want to apply and have expressed regret at that since then. They were able to follow us on our Facebook page, and even now, you know, I'll mention in class, oh, when we're in Sweden we did this, or in Sweden they do that. It's also allowed us to look at how they do things in their colleges and how they work with local businesses and how that compares to ours. And although it's not saying that they do everything better than us, there's always area for improvement for us, so we were able to pick out points going, oh, maybe we could do that, and it's definitely been beneficial. Personally, I believe I have benefited professionally because I was able to talk to external agencies that were working with Lars KAG in Kalmar, and I had to compile a report on how they helped their students who were facing financial difficulties or social difficulties. And this has actually helped me look at ways that we can help our students more. West Lothian has a lot of deprivation, and a lot of our students end up leaving because of things that we can't control. So this has allowed me professionally to look at sort of telling points and think, well, is this really the reason the student isn't turning up that they're telling me? And we've actually been able to help a lot more students this year because I'm just that little bit more aware. And looking at different teaching techniques as well was very interesting, in seeing how they work in their sort of non-practical teaching and how they're supported by the rest of the college. I would advise anyone that's got the opportunity to take part in the ERASMUS project to go for it. It was so much fun. Watching the students experience being abroad for the first time, and I think it helped them when I was explaining, is it quite intimidating being in an area and not always understanding what everyone's saying, you know, hoping that somebody speaks English, and I think they're maybe a lot more tolerant of people being around them not speaking English, and realising what people come to this country, the barriers that they're maybe facing on a daily basis. So watching them realise that, watching their world open, and we had so much fun. And there's actually lifelong friendships have been made. Students have actually visited Kalmar since then and stayed with friends and kept in contact with their homestays as well. So I would say, go for it. I really do think that this opportunity given by Erasmus has helped the employability of our students. At least 3 students have gained, that went with us, have gained apprenticeships, and they all mentioned their trip to Sweden and their experience in top-end garages there, and they felt, I've spoken to them, they felt that helped them stand out. We have another student who is in the process of gaining employment but he wants to do his last year at college first. And he was able to impress a potential employer by mentioning that he'd been able to work for Lexus in Sweden. And he said that the feedback to that's something that employers are focusing on, going, oh, tell us about that. What was your experience? So it definitely makes them stand out. And I think the experience just somewhere in a garage, which is something we tried to do here, but being able to do that abroad at such a young age is really sort of life-changing employability-wise for the students.